It's the Minnesota Pubcast. I am Jason McGovern. I am solo. Well, kind of. I am live at O'Gara's Bar and Grill, a place that my guest is completely familiar with. He does enough stuff down here himself. My guest tonight is Jim Souhan. Not filling in for Molly. I'm actually going to have Molly on after I talk to Jim, but Jim's live down at the XL, and he's covering the Wild tonight. How you doing tonight, Jim?
I'm good, Jason. How are you?
I am well. Well, let's start right where we should, and that's where you are tonight. This is the number one team to talk about in town tonight, and I want to see where you think we are with the Wild right now. I want to start with, first of all, the number one story is the obvious one this year. It's Dubnyk. He's obviously, we've dubbed him the savior on Wild Wednesday, as I'm sure you're listening to every Wednesday, the Jeff Dubé show, also on the Alive and Social Network. And Scott Schweitz on that show was for the first couple of months, was making the point that this team is going through these problems because they don't have any confidence in the guy behind them. And I wanted to say to that, well, they're professionals. They, just buck up and play in the system and play hockey and don't worry about the guy behind you. He'll do his job, you do yours. But I think I was completely proven wrong, and I think Scott Schweitz was proven completely right, that it wasn't just the goalie play, but it was the confidence that instilled in the team. And that is really what has made Dubnyk the savior, is it's not just his play in net, but it's how that translates to the rest of the team. What do you say to that?
No matter how much we want to wish that pro athletes were professionals and robotic, they're not. No matter how much money you pay them, no matter what kind of status they are elevated to, they're still humans. They still have foibles, they still have flaws, they still have weaknesses. And so, yes, Dubnyk playing great made a huge difference. It allowed them to not play with some kind of paranoia or desperation. They weren't trying to make the perfect – they weren't trying to it's like the old saying in baseball. They weren't trying to hit an 8-run home run every time they touched the puck. They weren't trying to do something beyond their capabilities to make up that if they made any slight mistake, the puck was going to be in the back of the net in the next 3 seconds. So that's absolutely a factor. But it's not quite that simple. Has Dubnyk played incredibly well? Yes. Has that settled down the people in front of him and allowed the Wild to play much better as a team? Absolutely. That's all true. But there is a mitigating factor as well. The mitigating factor is that they were bound to start playing better at some point. They were bound to get healthier at some point, and they did. They finally hit a stretch of schedule where they weren't playing beasts every night. And I think also, going back to the players are human theme, Parise and Suter had a little bit of time to get past the deaths of their fathers, and I think that's helped too. So it's all of the above. It's not one something. Now Dubnyk is the key. He's the fulcrum. He's the linchpin, whatever phrase you want to use. But he's not doing it in isolation. There are also other factors there.
Yeah, well, and that's where I was kind of going with it. I was going to ask you, what is the second biggest story on this team? You can look at, there was the illness going around that started in the Anaheim locker room and spread throughout the league with the mumps and whatnot, things I didn't even think existed anymore. And you had injury. You still have injuries. You still have players coming back. You still have Ballard out and probably out for the rest of the season, maybe the rest of his career. So what is the next most important thing for this team? Is it Is it the fact that Parise has been able to jump back and bounce back after going through this, and same thing with Suter? What do you think is the next biggest key to the success of the Minnesota Wild this year?
I would say in that this is reproven that his defensive system works when he gets, when anybody stops the puck. And the other factor there is that this team, without anybody having a career season, without anybody being up among the leaders in goals scored for the league, with a lot of young players having, disappointing or at least non-breakout seasons, they're still on pace to score more goals than any team in Wild history. So you have a team that, when they get decent goaltending, is excellent defensively, and even when nobody is going crazy, nobody's having a breakout year, they're still scoring lots of goals. And I thought Yo's leadership and calm really help them get through the rough stretch. So I do think Yo is probably the next biggest factor.
Well, and I think Yo's system probably sets up that distribution of the goals a bit too, right? I mean, being that it is kind of a defense-first system, you're not going to have, an Ovechkin where a guy can just play suckhole and get away with that stuff. On this team, even if you're Hala, with that speed, and Parisi, we don't even have to talk about because he plays both ends and plays hard every night and all that. But I think that because of Yo's system, I think that you take away that to make that one guy where he's just a goal scorer. They don't have that on this team. People are pissed that Vanek isn't having the season that they expected him to, and I think that by putting him in this system, though, that's okay. As you said, they're going to score more goals than any Wild team, or they're on pace to, in history, without Vanek having a top-notch year goal-wise, without Pominville scoring a lot of goals. I know he's got a lot of assists, but not a lot of goals. I think you might be right with Yo, but I think that he's nailed it this year, and I think he probably is the number 2 most important thing, other than maybe how bad Kemper was, also possibly being another important factor that led us to where we had to go get a goalie and went on this run. But my biggest contention with Yo, I wonder if you agree with this, is that and again, another theme on Wild Wednesday with a couple of the guys have been saying that he sticks with the veterans, and I think that he does that to a fault on the power play. These guys are not producing. They're one of the worst in the league, and yet he still just keeps putting them out there every shift, and he doesn't give these kids, a Niederreiter or somebody else that can come in and provide a spark to that power play. I feel like he keeps going to the veterans, and just because I don't know if he doesn't want to ruffle feathers. I really don't know what he's even afraid of there. But I don't understand why he's not mixing up that top power play with its lack of success.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one area that you can probably pick on him, and it depends. It really depends on which veterans and which young kids you're talking about. Because we have to get specific here. You can't just say veterans. You got to tell me exactly who you take off and who you put on.
I would take Suter off just because of time-wise.
Either Parisi or Suter should be taken off. You just have to acknowledge that they have more power and longevity in this organization than Yo does. They could fire Yo. Yo can't fire them. So let's not pretend that he can do whatever he wants with Suter and Parisi at this point.
Right.
The other people we could probably argue about. Nino, I would love to see him on the top power play, but it's not like he's had a great year and earned it. Granlund would seem to be a natural guy to have to be out there all the time, but he has not been good in face-offs, so that makes it tough to put him out there. I think we all want to see Dumba out there all the time now.
Yep.
But if it's about Parisi and Suter, you just have to understand that they're the 2 vice presidents who can fire Yo, not the other way around.
What does it take for Yo to be able to ever tell them what to do, or will he ever be able to?
10-year contract.
So he'll never be able to. I mean, even if he wins a cup, he doesn't get that cred.
Well, if he gets a 10-year contract after the cup, yes. Otherwise, he'll be like every other hockey coach who will be 2 months away from getting fired, no matter what he did the previous year.
Right. And as he probably should be. All right. Because I don't know how important coaching necessarily is in the NHL. It is in other sports. I don't know if it's that important in the NHL. I mean, you've seen Bobby Bowman and people go on streaks, but actually, real quickly, what do you think? Do you think that coaching is really that important in the NHL, or is it amongst the 4 majors, is it one of the least important?
Well, I think it's a lot like baseball in that I don't think a good coach necessarily wins you a lot of games. I don't think a good coach necessarily transforms your season, but a bad coach will ruin you. And that's the way I feel about baseball managers. A good baseball manager with a good team might steal you 3-4 games during a season. So having a good manager in baseball is really important when you're in a tight race. When that one game might get you into the playoffs, or that one game might be a Game 7 in the playoffs in the World Series. So a good manager with a good baseball team can help you win an important game here or there that'll make a difference. But he's not going to make a 10-15 game difference in the stand. That was one of the great misconceptions about Ron Gardenhire. People thought that suddenly he was just pushing the wrong buttons, and all of a sudden they're winning 20 fewer games. That's not the way it works. Gardy, if Gardy had done everything he could have done with last year's team, maybe they end up with 78 wins instead of 70 or 76 wins. Maybe 73, whatever. Mm-hmm. You can't create that many more wins. Hockey, I think it's pretty similar. I don't think that a coach can transform a bad team into a good team, but a bad coach can ruin a good team. And a good coach can steal you a win here or there, and can help you, do what Yo did this year, kind of ride through some bad stretches without panicking, without ruining the locker room culture. So, football, NFL coaches, college head coaches are incredibly important because they do everything. They are the program. NFL coaches can be extremely important because I think about, you never know what you're going to get. They just started cranking up the music at the X. I hope that's not going to mess up our sound here.
No, it's fine.
An NFL head coach has a ton of power: offensive system, defensive system, coaching staff, influence on the roster, if not control over the roster, play calling, strategy, game plans. That has a big difference, especially since most NFL players are about the same ilk. There aren't that many stars that really make a big difference other than quarterbacks. But hockey, I would say it's one of the less important positions in terms of just being able to win games you shouldn't win, but it's very important to have a good one because it means you don't have a bad one.
Right. Okay. You brought up the NFL. I want to switch gears real quick there. You wrote a column recently about Chris Borland. Was that yesterday, actually, that he retired? When was that?
Today. What's today? Today's paper, yeah. Today's
okay.
all mixed together.
Yeah, I read it on the web, so I never know when you actually wrote it. But Chris Borland, the linebacker, right, from the 49ers, he retires, and he's coming out saying he's doing it because he wants to prevent head injuries, or he doesn't want to go through that and go through that life that can lead to. And I think that a lot of people are going, well, this is just the first step, and this is going to lead to the end of the sport eventually. I did a little background on him, as I'm sure you probably have too, but it doesn't sound like this is a guy. Okay, here's where I'm going with this. You referred to it as a blood sport. To me, it's like boxing. It's like any of these other sports where it's brutal and it's about watching two men or a bunch of men clash. And I think that the people that end up usually playing those sports are not rich, affluent people. They are usually people that come from a lower class and have less money and less opportunity. So do you think, and this guy's not one of them. Chris Borland, it comes from a family that's got a financial company, and it sounds like he'll do just fine outside of football. So my question is to you, is this going to start anything, or do you think that, like I said, the economics of it are really going to keep this where we have plenty of people coming in to play in the NFL for years and years to come?
Yeah, that was actually kind of the point I was making exactly, which is Borland was made a mature, intelligent decision, but he's also in a position where he could make a mature, intelligent decision.
Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to make, and you never know whether people actually get the point you make. Some of the emails I got today obviously either didn't really read it or didn't understand it, and maybe it's my fault, maybe I didn't explain it clearly enough. The point I was trying to make is there are going to be legions of qualified football players who would never walk away from a big contract because they need the money, they need to support other people, they have no other options. And the reason I compared it to military service is that the statistics hold out right now. When you don't hold a draft and you just ask for enlistments, most of the people, and people want to conflate it with patriotism, but there are a lot of wealthy patriots who would not enlist in the Army. The people who are enlisting in the Army and the armed services are people who need the job, who don't have better options.
And there are going to be plenty of people that hate this country that are doing that.
I think there will always be people who cannot ever imagine turning down a job that can pay them $5, $10, $15, $20 million over the next 10 years.
Yeah, but I still, and actually the NFL kind of solved that problem with that lawsuit that they settled on this last year, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, now there is no ticking time bomb really waiting until there's a new lawsuit that would have to come up with new grounds, correct?
Exactly, and that's why no matter what they paid when they settled that lawsuit, they saved themselves billions of dollars.
Right,
because the basis of that lawsuit was that they had deceived their own players about the dangers of playing football, and they had. They were well. There's no way around that, and they would have lost. And you never know what's going to happen in court, but they would have deserved to lose in court, and they knew that. That's why they settled. But them settling now that leads to the current generation of players who will never be able to claim that they didn't know what the risks were, and because they won't be able to make that claim, the NFL is frankly pretty safe.
Yeah, no, they like you said, they couldn't wait to sign that check. They couldn't
No.
wait to pay that off and say, now you guys are screwed forever. And I think that the union screwed up. I think that they weren't thinking long term enough. They were thinking of current players, and I think they really screwed themselves up. And I think, honestly, the only solution to really fix the sport at any time, and I know it's been joked about for years, but I think it might actually be honest, is the whole get rid of the helmets. Do you have an opinion on that? Will it ever happen? Could it ever happen?
I don't know if it would ever happen. The NFL loves symbolism. They love the brand, and the helmets are such a big part of the brand. They're shiny, they're glossy, they look great on TV.
Every pregame
and I know that
show,
sounds
yeah.
really shallow, but the NFL is a very shallow league. So I think they should. And when you say get rid of the helmets, I don't think they should not wear anything on their heads. I think they should be wearing something soft-sided. Because as soon as, you look at the old days, and as brutal as the NFL was in the old days, and there was gouging and kicking and biting and punching and all kinds of other stuff, nobody led at their head.
No.
Nobody was ever going to spear somebody because you're not going to spear somebody unless you are wearing a weapon on your head.
Well, no, and I didn't really realize this. I heard somebody that knew more about it than I did talking about boxing and how they said that the reason they put gloves on eventually instead of doing the bare knuckle thing was not to protect the other boxer. It was to protect your hands. And that's what the helmet is for. It ends up just protecting the guy's head who's launching himself at you. It doesn't protect the other person. In fact, it becomes a weapon. And to me, I don't know how, but I somehow caught some rugby a couple of weekends ago on like NBC or something. And I'm going, these guys are huge. They're tackling. It's fun to watch. Like, it is ruthless still, but there's nobody leading with their head, and there's nobody getting hurt. And I was just like, it would be so fun to me to watch, Tom Brady and these guys play within a system where it would be so different, but I think it would still be fun to watch. And I think it would still have the finesse and still the toughness that it does today. It would just be less lethal.
And like I played lacrosse, and I loved hitting until my left side of my body went numb, and then I became more of a finesse player. But I loved hitting, and nobody in lacrosse would ever think of leading with their head. It's kind of, especially in the old days, it was a softer helmet. So if you were going to blow somebody up, it was shoulder into the sternum, hit them as hard as you can, make them fly through the air, knock the wind out of them. But nobody would ever think about hitting with the head. These guys feel they're wrong, but they feel so safe. They feel so protected by the hard helmet that they think they can use it that way. Yep. And part of it is intimidation, part of it is ruthlessness, but a big part of it is they feel protected. If you take away that feeling of protection, all of a sudden you see a lot of form tackles again in the NFL, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, they keep talking about making the helmets better. I think that's the dangerous part. I want the guy diving to go, this thing might not protect me. That's the whole point, is if he's the one that's got to be fearing for his life, not the guy that's getting hit, because of course he's already fearing for his life.
Right, exactly. And listen, and the other thing is, you can have big hits. You can still retain the attractive violence of the sport. You can still have, receivers afraid to go for the middle. You can have hard-hitting safeties, all that stuff. You can have goal line stands. It's not going to change any of those things. The only thing that's going to change is the flying, leading with your head spear, which should be illegal anyway.
Absolutely. All right, Jim, I've taken up a lot of your time. Thank you so much for coming on. First, I want to say that Eddie Gordato interview was one of the fucking greatest things I've ever heard. That was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Amazing radio, or on-demand radio, as you like to call it. Anything you want to plug other than SouhanUnfiltered.com? Obviously, your column at Star Tribune. Anything else?
Let's see. My next podcast is tomorrow night from where you are, 6 o'clock at O'Gara's with Dan O'Brien, who's Jerry Kill's right-hand man at the Gopher football program. Dan has worked his way, basically worked at every level of football in Minnesota, and is a great guy and has worked his way through the system. So I'm going to do that. And then next Monday, I'm at the local at 5 o'clock with a guest to be determined.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you again, Jim. You're obviously welcome to come on anytime, and we will talk to you soon. Enjoy covering that Wild game tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. See you.
That is Jim Souhan of the Star Tribune and of Souhan Unfiltered, which is another podcast from the Alive and Social Network. All right, coming up next, I'm going to give Molly a call down in Arizona. We'll talk to her. We're going to talk race relations and coffee, coming right up, right here on the Minnesota Pubcast.
I do want to do due diligence to the NCHC Frozen Face-Off, not just because they are a client of ours, but it is a fantastic event. And it is going to be at the Target Center. It's March 20th to 21st, and they've got some fantastic deals right now. Full custom ticket packages for all 4 games start as low as $60, and they will have single game tickets going on sale February 23rd. You can call 1-888-9-AXS-TIX, AXS-TIX, or go to TargetCenter.com. Go to the Target Center box office. It's going to be a great event. They've also got this fan fest going on. They're going to have live bands. They're going to shut down part of First Ave there and have bands on the street. We're going to be podcasting live as part of the event. And if you are coming from out of town, which obviously the University of Minnesota is no longer in it, so most of the fans who come here are going to be traveling, whether it's from Grand Forks, St. Cloud, Duluth, Miami, of Ohio, Denver University, whatever, you're going to want a hotel room. And obviously there's a wealth of hotel rooms in downtown Minneapolis. As great as a venue as the X was for these events, downtown Minneapolis has got so much more going on, so many more hotel rooms. And if you go to my Twitter account or my Facebook account, you will find a post or a tweet that shows the NCHC Frozen Face-Off coming March 20th, 21st, and where you can go to book discounted hotel rooms, because the NCHC got together with the Chamber of Commerce and the hotels and put together some packages where folks can get a break on hotel rooms. Just tell them you're coming for the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. But you'll see the link on my Twitter account and my Facebook account. Just click on it, and they'll lead you right to discounted hotels, which should be a fantastic, fantastic event.
Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa.
And this is Liz.
And we're with the Focus Radio,
where our focus is to bring you resources to grow your business and double your income.
It's on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Central Time. TheFocusRadio.com.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away.
It's the Minnesota Podcast. Oh, my God, that got loud. Whoa. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah. I've got Molly live down in Arizona, I believe, on the tennis court, just off the tennis court. What the hell are you doing?
Well, I'm leaving the tennis court because apparently it's protocol, country club protocol.
What, you can't be on your cell phone on the tennis court? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of rude.
Well, it is, yeah. But, tell them you're doing a talk show. Tell them to screw off. It's fine. Anyway, so you're out on the tennis court. It's not raining anymore. What is the temp down there in Arizona?
I think, I'm going to do a real-time report. I'm standing next to a saguaro cactus.
Oh,
so if anyone to Arizona before, the classic-looking cacti that are tall with the arms.
I can picture it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, totally.
They're spelled Saguro, like Saguro, but you pronounce it Saguaro.
Is it Spanish
anyway,
then, or what?
I'm standing next to one.
I hope.
And that's the only place you can find them.
Why is that?
In the world. I don't know. They're native to Arizona, and that's the only place you can find them.
I didn't know that. So you're saying when I see them in California, they're from Arizona, like they've been transplanted? Haven't I seen those
I don't
ones?
think they have them in California.
Oh.
I really don't think you can find them anywhere else.
I can be wrong. By the way, I had to mention this to you. I have realized that I say Las, and I'll say it wrong, and then I'll never say it wrong again. But I definitely have been saying Las Vegas incorrectly, and it is Las Vegas.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't know where I heard it. I heard someone else say it though, and I went, "Oh yeah." Or no, you know what I did was I looked up. I actually looked up the way to say it online, and it's even said it's with an A, not an E. So I went, "Oh God, I've been a fucking idiot for 34 years."
Oh,
so
all
right,
I don't know if
you were right.
A fucking idiot, but
well, at least about that. So did you happen to see anything I posted today? I know you're hanging out, and you said you're working down there too.
I'm working, Jason. I'm a working stiff.
Well, I know that, but
I've been at my computer honestly 8 hours a day, but I've been getting up at 6 a.m. to talk to all the people in Minnesota at 8. And it's been working great because then I'm done working by 2. And now I feel like that should be my normal schedule.
And now I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I think I'm for it actually, but they don't do daylight savings there. You're either Pacific or you're Mountain, but it's just they don't switch the time by daylight savings time. You just switch your time zone. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, that is. Wait. I'm gonna send you okay, it's 66 here right now. It feels warmer than that actually. It's been 80 and 90 all week. But yes, they don't do daylight savings time because they've never been I'm gonna send you a picture of where I'm sitting just so you have a visual. Because daylight savings is all for farmers. I mean, traditionally it was so that people who were farming got more hours of the day.
Which makes no sense.
To work, yeah. And so Arizona has never been a farming culture, and so they had no reason for daylight savings, and so they do not practice daylight savings. I mean, daylight savings in and of itself is pretty much useless.
Yes.
Because we're not a farming culture anymore.
Right. 1%.
And even if we are, it doesn't matter.
99% now. Yeah. I hate it, and that's why I just add that to the reasons to like Arizona. Honestly, I'm a fan. So while you were on the computer, did you happen to see any of the stuff that I posted today, or did you happen to see
No.
have you heard about the Starbucks deal where the Starbucks is now that your barista is supposed to get you to start talking about race? Have you seen this?
No. What?
Yeah. So now that's Starbucks' new thing is they're going to have your barista right on your cup, what was it? It was something like sea race or something like that, and it's supposed to spark a conversation, which obviously you and I are all about conversation. That's kind of like the whole fucking point of this, but it seems like a very awkward place to do it. And there's actually been a couple of different race things going on here locally and nationwide that I wanted to discuss with you. And I just want to I wanted to take that into that because, first of all, I don't know if you're following what's going on, but the MOA, the protest group, is now claiming that the Mall of America security was spying on their Facebook page. And what the Mall of America apparently did, and to me, kind of wisely, was they created a fake Facebook post and became friends and started following the protest group as a way to make sure what the fuck they're up to. And I want to get your reaction to that because to me, I think that's Mall of America being diligent, being smart, and going, what if they had decided to be violent? Wouldn't everyone be yelling at us for not being diligent and not being on top of this first? But I want to ask you if you think that that's completely hypocritical of me since I'm so anti-spying, you know what I mean? Am I being hypocritical, or is this a little different than, say, the U.S. government versus, the Mall of America security?
Well, I think that's a good point. The fact of the matter is, Facebook is a private company. Well, now it's a public company, but I don't think that makes a difference either way if it's publicly traded or not. No, that happened to me in college actually when I was planning a party with a bunch of friends and a big kegger, and I think we were 20 years old, and it was a fundraiser for something. And the Iowa City Police Department follow all of the party Facebook invites within the Iowa City area. They have fake people that go on and monitor the situation, and then they'll show up at the party before the party is scheduled to start, and they'll give them a warning, and they'll say, hey, if we catch anyone drinking underage or serving alcohol underage, you're all getting tickets, you're all getting, for serving kids, and you'll also get possession yourself. And they're like, "What? Have a good time." They walk out.
So that's all we had to say.
Shit.
No, and
we were trying to get around it. But we were like, well, can we donate beer to people? And can we ask for a $5 donation? And they were like, nope, it's still illegal. So we got screwed because they were monitoring our Facebook. But that was out in the open. I mean, Facebook is it is not meant to be secretive, and
right.
So I think that is totally okay for Mall of America to keep tabs on what's happening at their private mall.
Right. It's funny because these people that are I think it's the lawyer for the protesters that are being charged, but you would think they were trying to make the same case that I am, that somehow this is an invasion of privacy and that we are supposed we have Fourth Amendment rights that protect us from illegal search and seizure. If you fucking put something out on the internet, it's out there for everyone to see. What sense of privacy do you expect? And then if you want to get mad because they created a fake profile and became your friend, why don't you maybe look into who who you accept as your friend first. I mean, I don't understand how they're putting any blame on Mall of America. And then also they're saying too, like, well, they should have just let us protest there, and why did they bother with all of this? And it's going, well, no, their policy has been that. They told you that. I mean, that's, again, this is one of those things where I'm on the side of things I'm not usually on the side of, but I'm completely on the side of the Mall of America here. I don't see what in any way they did wrong. And again, I bring this up because of the racial thing, but I don't even think there's any way you could say this was racist in any way. They just saw a group that they knew was planning on protesting there and said, I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I haven't looked into much of like the past if people have decided to ever have a public protest at the Mall of America. I don't know if that's ever been a thing.
No, they made it a law in like 1998 that said, it went all the way up to the Minnesota Supreme Court, and they said, no, you will not, protests are not legal there. It's not technically public property, like it's not a sidewalk. So that has been, precedent for 15 years or more.
Right, and I'm sure if the mall said, sure, you can have that. Well, you can have that event there. We'll sponsor it. That's a totally different thing. I mean, if it had become a Mall of America, Black Lives Matter sponsored event that come and gather and discuss the state, whatever. Like that's one thing. But they were asked not to do it, and it's unfortunate because it's an important cause and it needs to be discussed. But they're not allowed to do it everywhere. We have so many public places for people to go and rally and protest and exercise their free speech, but that wasn't the place to do it, unfortunately.
No, and they, wisely, that's why they did it at the mall, because it wasn't allowed, because it would be covered, because it would get so much press, because it would be
sure.
A big deal. I mean, they nailed it, but I've been saying ever since this thing ever went down, the part of civil disobedience is it's disobedience. It's breaking the law, and you will pay consequences for that. But that's part of the deal. Like if you're trying to really make a change, and you're trying to change the entire culture and in laws and the way that police interact with society, you're gonna also take some lumps, and you're gonna you might get locked up in a cell a couple of nights, or you might have to pay a fine. And I think that's just par for the course. I mean, go talk to anybody in the '60s in that movement, in civil rights movement. They would tell you, yeah, you're not just going to get away with all this scot-free. That's not the point. The point is you keep doing it until the law does change to where what you're doing isn't anymore illegal.
And to me, it's more effective.
It's more effective how? Did I lose you? I think we might have lost Molly there. Hold on. I'm going to hang up with her. I'm going to give her a call back. I'm going to take another... this might be a good time. While I don't have Molly on the line. Well, hold on. Real quick, let's just call her back. Why not? What do you guys got going on? I don't have anything better to do. Let's see if we can get her back. If not, I've got plenty more to talk about. Doobie-doobie-doo.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Was that you or was that me?
I don't. It said I was still connected on our end, so I think it was your phone, but I have no idea. I'm not really too concerned about it. I'll blame you. I mean, I want to say it was your fault,
phone?
but I don't think I dropped off on this end. But again, it's Skype. I don't know anything about Skype. Does Skype work? I don't know. It works so far. So far when I've been using it. I had Jim on earlier, and Jeff's been doing a bunch of interviews with us too. We definitely need to take advantage of this. But anyway, Molly's back on the line.
Do I sound like pixelated, like a robot?
No, you sound good, and that's what we've gone back. We had one call. This college kid actually played for North Dakota or something. Called in on his cell phone, and you can tell, I don't know where he was, but he wasn't near a damn cell phone tower. And that was the only one. We've had probably 6 to 8 interviews now using the Skype system, and they all sounded great, other than that one. So
good.
So you sound great. You sound like you almost sound like you're here. So okay.
Oh my God.
Now here's I'm
using a mic too. Just FYI, I'm not talking through my phone.
What kind of a microphone are you using? Just your headphone mic?
I have my standard iPhone headset plugged in, and it has a microphone attached to it.
Yeah.
And my mom always says, whenever I talk to her, she's always like, "You're talking into the phone, Molly. Move the phone away from your mouth." And so I always talk on my headset now.
That's funny because that's
such a loser. Because my mother has terrified me into thinking that I speak incorrectly on the phone.
Well, I have my friend Shelby, who is like the only person I talk to on the phone, and we don't even really talk on the phone anymore, thank God, because I'm not a phone guy. But that was always the thing too, is I'd have to put the earbuds in to hear her, and then so she could hear me, I'd have to have that as well, because I would always have my face on the phone or something, and it would like talk about a subject for 30 seconds, then it would be, I can't fucking hear you, God, move or do that, and it became so annoying that I was like, you know what, it's not even worth talking to you right now. I'll just grab the headset. But so no, you sound great. It's nice. So here, okay, so on-air production meeting, on-air test. I want to see if you. I have some audio. Stephen A. Smith. Do you know who Stephen A. Smith is?
No.
He's a blowhard on ESPN. He's a columnist. He's been doing. He's most known for his stuff on ESPN. I think most known for NBA stuff. But he makes all kinds of stances and says all kinds of stuff that gets him in trouble. But I don't know if he necessarily said something in this case that will get him in trouble. And this wasn't on ESPN, which will always get you in trouble if you say anything that pisses off the mouse. But I want to see. I'm going to play like 5 seconds of this, and then you let me know if you can hear it. And then if you can, I'll play the whole thing and we'll react to it.
When you go buy a house, do you look at one? When you are looking for a car, do you look at one? When you want to buy some clothes, when you want to buy some shoes, when you want to buy anything, you're shopping around. You know?
All right, could you hear that at all?
I know, it just sounded really angry.
All right, well, he is kind of tough to understand at the beginning, so I just want to make sure you can actually hear it. So I am going to play the whole thing. It's like 1 minute and 20 seconds. And then hopefully you'll be able to hear a little bit more of it, but if you can't, the listeners will, and then I'll describe it to you after it's done. So hold on 1 second.
Okay.
When you go buy a house, do you look at one? When you are looking for a car, do you look at one? When you want to buy some clothes, when you want to buy some shoes, when you want to buy anything, you're shopping around. You know what you're saying to somebody? Flatter me. What you got? Let me see what you have to offer. We don't do that with politics. And then we blame white America for our disenfranchisement when it is us. Because all we have to do is upset the apple cart by not doing what's predictable, and it will force everybody to pay attention to us, because the Democrats will be scared of losing our vote. The Republicans will say, hey, we might have a chance to get it. And then all of a sudden, everybody will cater to our needs just like they cater to Jewish folks, to white folks, and beyond, and suddenly we won't be disenfranchised anymore. I do not understand for the life of me why we as a people don't draw that conclusion and act accordingly. We play right into folks' hands. And I hate the fact that anybody, I don't give a damn Democrat, Independent, Republican, but I hate the fact that anybody is allowed to believe that they have a block of people.
All right, could you make out at least the point he was making there?
No, you're obviously not checking your text messages either.
Oh, sorry.
But
Well, no, I'm not as we're going here. I was expecting you to say something. I actually had you where nobody could hear you, so you could have just said it to me.
Well, when you turned me down, I couldn't hear anything.
Brilliant. All right. Well, that's cool. Well, either way, like I said, oh God, I do have that picture of your visual now. God damn, it looks nice there. Jesus. Okay, so basically, Stephen A. Smith is saying that he would love for every black person in this country to vote Republican this next election. And his whole point being that they never have. They've never gone Republican since 1962 or something. The black population of this country has never voted a Republican in, or never been, the majority of them voted black. And his whole point being that let's do this to stir it up so that we can make the party that does have our vote go, maybe we don't always have your vote, and make the other party go, oh, maybe we do have a shot at this. So basically his whole point being, right now no one is doing anything for the black population politically because there's no incentive to. Democrats know they're in their pocket, and Republicans know they have no shot. So he's saying the only way that anybody's ever going to cater to their needs and their demands and their desires is if they stop letting Democrats just think they've always got them under their thumb. And I think it's an interesting theory, and it's something that, of course, no white person can say, but a black guy can. And I think that it's interesting. Your thoughts?
Oh, man. Now I can hear my not my reflection.
You might hear an echo for a second, but it goes away.
Oh, this is super fun, Jason.
I love having you on your vacation. Well, you're not on vacation though. You're working, so I don't even have to feel that bad.
I want to be playing tennis right now, and there's an airplane flying overhead. There's some sort of new part of the country club going up. I'm sitting here trying to talk to you about important race relations.
Yes, at the country club of all places. That's great.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting concept. The only problem is that Republicans are against getting black people to vote in the first place.
Oh, wow.
They don't.
Wow.
I mean, let's be real.
Oh,
they are
my God.
trying to implement just about every type of voter ID law that
God forbid you need
many
ID.
many people who work low-income jobs, who work, the not traditional 9 to 5, who can't take time off.
To do what? To get an ID?
To vote.
Oh, well, I thought that was law. You have to let everybody vote. I thought in Minnesota you had to get... is that what you're trying to say? They're trying to block that now?
No, Republicans for the past 2 years have been trying to implement laws, stricter regulations to voting, to register to vote. So, they don't really believe in, a lot of Republicans don't believe in same-day voter registration. They don't believe in
motor voter,
just more flexibility for when and where you can vote, which keeps a lot of people that include many minorities and many low-income voters. It keeps them from voting because they know that those aren't the people that are going to be voting for them generally. So that right there is I don't know why you vote for the party who doesn't even want you voting in the first place. But it's an interesting concept, I suppose. I mean, you're right. No one is.
Well, no, I guess that's the question: is do you agree with his premise that there's not a whole lot of politicians going out there, or there's not a lot of Democrats out there going, boy, we really got to sway this black vote. I don't know, they might go Republican this year. That's just not a thing, and that can't be good, right? Oh, we lost her again. All right, well. You know what, guys? This has been a really fun experiment. I like trying this, but we're gonna give up for tonight. But we will be back next week. Thanks to Jim Souhan for coming in, and thanks for Molly for taking the time that she could while she was down there. She's texting me right now, of course. I'm just gonna text her that we're done. I'm signing off. I wonder what that is. That must have been a Skype thing. I don't know. We're figuring this out. It's the new Alive and Social Network, folks. We're figuring out the kinks as we go. So next week we will have. Let's see here. Next week, what do we got going on? Jeff Dubé show, of course. Monday, probably be just him and me talking sports, talking about whatever else you feel like talking about, whatever happened over the weekend. Tuesday, Twins Tuesday. Got to check that out. We've got two great guys that come on that show and talk hockey or talk baseball. And I was leading that into Wild Wednesday, of course. We've always got that going on down at Bennett's Chop House now. We're doing the Twins Tuesdays in the meantime in the Alive and Social Studios, but that will also be moving to a bar near you soon. We've got plenty of stuff going on too with this show. We've got sponsors. We're going to be doing some live shows at some other places too. That is all in the works. If you are thinking about advertising on the show, you should contact Patrick Disher. Just go on Facebook, find Patrick Disher, or go to aliveandsocial.com, get any contact information there. Tweet me, tweet Molly. It's not hard. We will get you lined up with our sales guy. And this is a new show. We're cheap. All right, we're fucking really cheap. Let's just be honest. So join the team. Get on board while we're young and still small before we turn into this huge show that, well, frankly, you can never afford. All right, I'm gonna stop now. I'm out of here. This is the Minnesota Pubcast. Till next week. Peace.